Reggie Watts was on Comedy Central. He was on Conan O'Brien. He was on Jimmy Fallon. He was on a show called Comedy Bang Bang in 2012. He created Jash, this comedy troupe. They do videos. If you search Jash, J-A-S-H, on YouTube, he collaborated with guys like Tim and Eric, Eric Wareheim, Tim Heidecker, Sarah Silverman. Okay, so this dude is up there with the highest comedy royalty. This is Reggie Watts at Pop Tech. I'm going to play the video first, and then I'm going to go back in little pieces and try to break it down for y'all. Here we go.
Lunchtime flapjacks, don't go down, just slow down. Come on, girls, let's sing it. I know there's something about you. I know there's something about you. I know there's something about you. I know there's something about you.
Okay, pretty cool stuff, right? Pretty interesting, wacky, out of the box. All 100% improvised with his voice and nothing else. So in the beginning, it was pretty standard beatboxing, pretty normal stuff here, if you can call it normal. We got a bass line, we got some beats, all made with his mouth. And when he first starts using the delay effects here, let's see what we end up with. So you can hear him activate the echo right here, and then we have this super long echo. It sounds like he has the feedback turned all the way up, and it just keeps going. Like if he doesn't go back and turn this off, this echo that's happening now will literally go forever. And it will not only will it not get softer, but it'll continue to get louder and louder and louder till you have like just distortion, just complete going. So here's this maximum feedback echo happening. Okay, so what is that? All right, there's our first little trick that happens here. And you can kind of hear this. You can hear this in all sorts of different records. You can hear this in Mars Volta records. You can hear this in Beatles records. You can hear this all the way from Pink Floyd to modern stuff, to stuff that's on the radio today, stuff in Katy Perry songs, stuff in Bruno Mars songs. This sort of effect that sounds like you're sort of being sucked into a vortex, right? And so that's the first thing. So first little mini point here that I want to add about the feedback, and I'm going to demonstrate this in a second. Don't be afraid to take your knobs and take your faders and take your settings. Don't be afraid to just take it and turn it all the way up, because this is how Reggie Watts gets a lot of these really crazy sounds, is he's pushing that equipment to the complete limits. He's pushing it to as far as it can possibly go, and a lot of times leaving that setting set there and letting the gear just demolish itself over time. So that's the first thing, is don't be afraid to really push the envelope. No pun intended. Let me get my microphone here, and I'll show you what's going on. I'll make the sound first, and then I'll tell you exactly how to get it. Here's the maximum feedback delay. And as you can hear, it's not getting softer. it'll keep going like that forever. It's an infinite loop. It'll just keep getting more degraded. It'll keep getting more dirty, more distorted, more trashy, until I turn the feedback down. So there's the maximum feedback. Here is the into the vortex effect. Are you ready for this? Here we go. Vortex. 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 So I tried to do it slow there. I'll do a quick one for you as well. Okay, so what is that? What is making that sound? I'll explain it to you real quick. It's real simple, actually. The Chaos Pad, instead of having different knobs for each parameter, it's an XY pad here. It's an XY axis. So as I go up, and down, it's turning the feedback up and it's turning the feedback down. So if I'm all the way down here, you'll hear no echo. There's no feedback whatsoever. But as I go up and up and up and up, there's the feedback going more and more and more. So what it's doing is it's not just taking that initial sound, it's taking the sound plus the echo and feeding it back into itself, and again into itself, into itself. With every delay, there's a copy of the previous delay, and it copies and copies and copies into an infinite loop of delay insanity. So what actually makes it do this? What is creating that? What's happening here is on my y-axis, I can control the time of the delay. So in your DAW or in your device or in your guitar pedal, you might have a knob that's called delay time, or it might just simply be called delay, right? So this is the amount of time between each delay. Now on an analog delay, which this is, simulating what would happen if you fed like a cassette tape back into the same cassette tape. As you'd reduce the delay time, you can hear, let me turn it up a little bit more. So here's very short delay time and very long delay time. So there's bop, 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 and then here's the short one. Short. Bop, 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 bop. Okay? So as I take it from a longer delay time and decrease the delay time. As it decreases, you can hear the pitch increasing up as it goes. So it's reducing that time, but it's also speeding up the delay. So it's speeding up the pitch. Everything is getting faster. Not just the sound of the delay, but the pitch of the delay as well. So there's the into the vortex effect that we just heard there a second ago, right? And that's manipulating the pitch. Also, the same thing works in reverse. If you start at a very short delay time, and increase that delay time, it'll get lower and lower and lower and lower and lower as you increase it. Let's keep going. Okay, let me make sure my screen is not covering this up here. You can see him sort of turning these knobs in a very frantic fashion here, right? So if you look at that, he's going up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Now listen to just this little part. Listen to what this is doing to the sound here. Check it out.
Lunchtime flapjacks.
He grabs it again and he starts going at it again, right? So what this is actually simulating is the sound of a like flanger, which a flanger, I can just demonstrate that pretty easily. A flanger sounds like this, okay? Now, this is a flanger sound that it's automating itself. So as I speak here, I can control the speed of which parameters are changing at which rate, but it changes on its own. But if I had a knob for delay time and I had a knob for feedback, you can imagine me sort of changing that delay time really short and then really long when you hear it sound more like an echo down there. And you can get way extreme effects with this. Sort of sounds like aliens or demons, right? So there's the kind of effects you can get. But if you just have a delay, you can get this same effect without really needing a flanger. He's sort of doing a manual flange here. So that would be if I took a pretty short feedback, but then I took the delay time and moved it. So this is the effect right here. It's getting lower, it's getting higher, and it's going back and forth erratically, right? So it's a little bit trippy, right? It's a little disorienting. And that is what he's doing. When he's taking the delay time up and down really rapidly. So you almost get two different copies of your vocal by doing that. You can hear the lower one, but you can also hear the higher one. And if you turn it fast enough, like he's doing, right, in time with the beat, you kind of hear both of those coming in and out at the same time because it's so fast. So he's playing this delay effect, like he's playing this floor pedal like an instrument. And this blew my mind the first time I saw it. I was like, wow, I've never seen anybody do that with a simple little basic, here's what that effect pedal sounds like. This is all it does. This is all you're buying when you buy that pedal. You get a nice sounding echo, and that's about it. But Reggie Watts is like, no. I'm going to push this thing to the limits. I'm going to twist it. I'm going to bend it. I'm going to make my own sound out of it and get these alien sounds and all this vortexes and stuff. So let's see what else.
Girls, let's sing it. I know there's something about you. I know there's something about you. I know there's something about you. I know there's something about you.
Okay, what is he doing there? This is why they call this pedal not just a delay pedal, but they also call this pedal a looper. So it's the DL4 Delay / looper. And like you can do looping by taking a recording device, right? And you could loop, 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 loop. So, but really, the device that he's using is creating this looping effect by actually just taking this delay at the shortest time and turning the feedback all the way up, which would sound like this. Ba, 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 so it's a looper, but it's kind of a delay as well. It's not really just a looper. He's not really recording with that. It's just echoing that sound back. And so if you can imagine laying multiple layers together, which is cool because you sort of get a fake looper as well. So if you have a vocal sound, here's what I'm getting at. You're in the studio, your vocalist laid down a vocal track, and you have the lead vocal there, and you're like, you know what, it would be really cool if there were some harmonies there. And your vocalist might have sang something like this. They may have sang, we used the little clip as an example. What was that, right? I took 4 notes, right? 4 notes, And now all of a sudden we have this huge, like, it sounds like a harmony, sounds like a bunch of angels, slightly distorted angels. But you can turn that one little melody, and by manipulating each note, or how about this? Just check this one out. So you can turn the delay on one note and then turn it off for the rest of it. And now you have like a duplicate of that note. And you can move that delay time around, and you can basically you can create artificial background vocals out of one little measly simple vocal harmony. These are the kind of things that real producers and real sound engineers and real mixing guys, these are the kind of tricks that they're using in the studio to get these super huge, enormous sounds. It's not always about sitting there and recording 5,000 layers of vocal. You can do a lot with one delay plug-in and one really solid vocal take. And so what he's doing here is taking that, what he's singing, duplicating it, right? At the very end, there's a super cool thing that Mr. Reggie Watts does. And this one I don't fully understand, but I'm going to try my best. I tried to do this on my DL4. I tried to figure this out. I couldn't quite get that good. But there is a button that allows you to play back in halftime, which essentially lowers the pitch by an octave. And my best guess, what he's doing with this box is he's turning the pitch halftime button on and off rhythmically in time while he's also restarting those delays. So what he's doing is essentially he's using his vocal sound, his harmony, his delays that he recorded earlier. He's using that as a sample now. So he's using it as like a drum, like, so he can trigger it, and he can also trigger it in halftime. And so I don't really know how to do that with the gear that I have here, but he's hitting those buttons in some kind of sequence to make that happen. And then at the end, you can hear the ju 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 ju, right at the end here. You can hear that little ju do do do. Sounds like a mortar or cannon or like machine gun or something. Do 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 do. That's all vocals. We pitched it down, and he's re-triggering it as a sample. Do 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 do. Okay, a lot of stuff you can get out of a solid vocal, one track, and some cool tricks, some cool secret tricks with your delay. All right, I'm going to play one more Reggie Watts video here. I'm going to give you my last final point with Reggie, just because I want to show this guy off, because I feel like a lot of y'all out there may have not heard this guy. Not that I'm the guy that should be giving him that recognition, but here we go. Here it is.
Salam, bara beser mig hem som att dansa salami. Såna, deep inside me come up sublime, the fit under the down, if it's a home, baby, we dance, if we want the bomb, as it begin to put down, but the hood. Chick. I wanna be a better than the day, you bring the sun into the sun, you don't want to stone. Hey, oh, summer stars, Saturday, Saturday. I wanna be a better than the day, you bring the sun, never got to do the dawn, and they go to my mouth. That's that thing, you wanna be to the she can be going, she can found if it's on the big one, because the name's on the big one, the back hands on, the pound, the pound, the You put your pants down, look around the ball, so put your pants back on. Feels the flesh, put your pants back on. Fit the fish in your pants. Ah, yes, I'm on the band, and I'm a couple of mine, and the dance, and I'm a gram, the 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 8, 10, 11, 1, 2, 9, 3, 64, 6,327, 122, 65.6, 5, 2, 3, yeah.
Let's respect this man's dance moves real quick.
Thank you. For my last song, thank you.
Yes. All right.
Thank you.
Now he's British.
Thank you very much.
So, there it is. I'm going to rewind it back to one moment here. By the way, Reggie Watts does not look like this anymore. This dude lost like 1,000 pounds recently. He looks amazing. Oh, I'm not allowed to say that on Facebook. I forgot. I'm going to get restricted. Here we go. Okay, so you hear the sound of this vocal here. Now, did you even notice that there's an echo on this vocal? Did you notice it consciously? Did you hear it and say, hey, there's an echo there? Hey, that echo, there's an echo, and it's approximately, 175 milliseconds of delay, and the feedback is maybe about 3/4. Did you hear that? Did you think that? I would say probably not. And that's the thing about delay and echo and reverb and effects like these. It's sometimes you don't always want to hear it super obvious. Probably set to something like this. All right? Something like this. What does a delay really do? It puts your sound, whatever sound you're putting a delay on, it takes that sound and puts it in a physical space. This is what a delay does, because you only hear sounds like that when you're in a room. It's a subconscious thing. It just sounds good. It makes it sound fuller. It makes you picture the vocal in a physical space when you're listening to it. So these are things that you want to keep in mind when you're working on a good delay for a vocal. But don't obsess over this stuff. Don't obsess over all the delays have to be perfectly in time every single time. This is not perfectly in time if you listen to it. Actually, none of it is, because it's mathematically impossible. None of the analog delays that Reggie Watts is using are synced to any kind of click track. None of it is synchronized. None of it is electronically accurate. It's all by feel. He's using his ear, and he's saying, you know what, this amount of echo sounds good, and then I'm going to switch it over, and now we're here, and then it changes the way I'm going to sing a little bit, and then we're going to go, we're going to go up to some falsetto, we're going to speed it up, and it's not an exact science here, guys. Don't be afraid to push your knobs all the way up, but at the same token, don't be afraid to just leave the knob halfway up in a perfectly normal position. You don't have to touch everything. You don't have to mess with everything. Leave it there, and you have a perfectly good vocal delay here, It creates a space. It creates some depth. It does its job. And that's all he's doing for the majority of the second video. That's why I wanted to show this second one, because it doesn't have a lot of super wacky stuff. It's more tame. It might be a nice delay like this, a little more ambience, long tail. It might be a delay like this, nice and short. If you watch Reggie Watts while he's singing, he's doing stuff like this, where he's moving the mic to the side and he's moving it. Listen to what this does to the sound. Right? He's moving the mic around. This is essentially the same as volume automation. It's taking your clip and drawing in dynamics, and you can have that delay just go onto the tail rather than the whole entire sound. So these are all different ways you can manipulate your delays, courtesy of Mr. Reggie Watts. We have him to thank for these amazing techniques. He's not afraid to take those knobs and twiddle them to the extreme to where he's creating effects that that device shouldn't even be able to do to begin with. So these are all of the lessons that we learned from Mr. Reggie Watts. Don't forget to hit that like button. If you learned something today about a guy you may have heard once on Comedy Central, now you know all about him, and you know all of his little tricks that he does. He gets these way outside sounds with his delay unit. One guitar pedal is all we're talking about here. Turn on notifications. Subscribe to the channel if you want to be notified on all of our future uploads. Visit oadamsmusic.com and share this video with all the vocalists you know, with all the sound engineers you know, because, I mean, some of these delay tricks, guys don't know this stuff, man. They see Reggie Watts. It's like, how does he do all that with one box? Well, I think a lot of you out there might be able to do a lot more with a limited selection of plugins rather than buying more plugins. You can do more with less. And with that, we will be back in just a second.